All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eric Jones. This is one of the first of a series of videos in which I am demonstrating on how to complete either a landscape design plan or an irrigation plan. And this mini movie is called Drawing the Border. I'm going to simply show you how to draw a landscape border around your paper. The tools that are going to be needed for this, I am using a triangle. I'm using a T-square. I have an engineer's scale. I have an architect scale. I have an eraser. I have a non-photo blue pencil, which any markings I make on the paper, when I do a reproduced photograph or a scan of this, it's not going to pick that up. I have a pencil, a lead pencil, and I have a Pentel sign pen, and also have an eraser shield to protect any lines that I want to keep when I'm having to erase, especially when lines overcross and stuff. This is a very simple mini movie on how to draw the border, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Usually when you tape, we're going to tape down the drawings when we're drawing it, but when I do my borders, I do not tape down. The first thing I'm actually going to do, here we have our paper oriented in the landscape orientation. If I turn my paper like this, it is called portrait. Most of the landscape plans that I draw, will be either way, but for this particular one, we're actually going to do a ½ inch border all the way around the paper, and we're going to have a 3-inch title block. So the first thing that I'm actually going to do, I'm actually going to mark at each corner of the paper with my non-photo pencil. I'm going to mark a ½ inch, and that's actually going to take place on both sides of the corner. This is actually just used as a guide to help me draw my my borders. I know, at several of the office supply stores you can buy pre-printed borders, and that's fine. That's totally up to you guys. Me, I prefer to do everything by hand. I am proficient with Pro Landscape. I'm pretty good with AutoCAD. I know a lot of the commercial project stuff. You need to be proficient with with either one of those programs to do the landscape design. But when I'm doing a residential landscape, and even if I'm doing a commercial design that I'm using CAD, I'm going to plot it out, and I'm going to render the drawing with colored pencil or colored markers. Call me old school or whatever, but I love doing that. And when I do a landscape plan for a residential, sometimes I'm gonna draw it out on these paper by hand. One, I'm so quick at it, and two, I love the look of a hand-drawn plan. It shows your clients that you've put a lot of time and effort into their plan, especially landscape plans. And I know the software packages are very expensive, and if you're a design build contractor or an irrigation contractor, and you're actually wanting to draw an irrigation plan to submit to the client after you install it, this is a quick, simple, and one of your least expensive ways to get this done. All right, I've marked each corners with the blue tick marks, and that's actually going to be a scale for me to draw it. Next, I'm actually taking my pencil very lightly, and since I don't have my drawing taped down, I'm actually just going to very lightly with my pencil, and I could even use, and let's tell you what, we'll go back to the non-photo. I'm a big fan of that non-photo pencil, as my students will tell you that, and I'm just lightly drawing that. That's giving me a border. And I know you may not see it right there, but when we draw it with our markers, you're definitely going to see it. Actually, my desk is not as big as I'd like it to have. But one reason I like doing this without having it taped down is I can move this paper around, and if I'd already had it taped down with drafting tape or tape dots, I couldn't do the way I like to do it. And this is the way I teach it in pretty much all my classes on how to draw their border. We have our beginning design students draw everything by hand, and then we move them up to computer-aided design, pro landscape software. My opinion, you have to know how to draw it on paper before you can draw it on the computer anyway. And you know, my opinion, going back to the pre-bordered paper, to me it looks non-personalized. I can add some details to my own borders that you're not going to be able to buy in the store. Alright, I've already got my 1/2 inch border with the non-photo pencil, so now I'm going to come up and I'm going to actually mark my 3-inch border. Not my 3-inch border, my 3-inch title block. This is the area that I love to brag about myself. Like I said, your borders, they can go, it can actually be portrait or it can be landscape. And tell you what, guys, I know we were going to do it landscape, but for this particular project that I'm actually working on, we're going to go ahead and do it at the bottom. So I'm actually going to do this drawing at portrait. I apologize for that, but with the non-photo pencil, those ticks will never show up. Like I said, this is the area that I like to brag on myself. I actually stamp out my landscape contractor stamp. I put my irrigation contractor stamp, certified plant professional, the scale, my fancy logo, all that goes there. Now that we have it drawn with our non-photo pencil, I'm actually going to come back with a Pentel sign pen. That's pretty much, you can probably get it at any office supply store. We purchase ours online. I go through these things like chewing gum. So any colors that you want, but particularly drawing plans, you need black, and I use a lot of red ink for my students. They love having their drawings left on the desk and their instructor coming in early morning and having a red pen review. So I'm actually just tracing over my non-photo pencil marks. And see, I'm rotating this paper, making it a whole lot easier for me to control the paper. And once I get my border done, I'm actually going to tape this drawing down. Remember, this exercise is just learning how to draw a border. And like I said, you know, if you're in the commercial business, you may want to buy the pre-drawn bordered paper, but I personally love the added touches that you can do by drawing your borders. And even there's some features in AutoCAD, guys, that you can draw it and then make it look like it was drawn by hand. So we've got our 3 short lines. Now I'm going to do the 2 long lines. And with this vellum that we're using an 18 by 24 inch sheet of paper. But you can do this with 11 by 17s. You can do it with even 8.5 by 11. If you got a small irrigation detail or landscape detail that you need to draw up, you can do it on a piece of notebook, piece of typing paper. But there is our hand-drawn portrait, hand-drawn border. And to be honest with you, I'm looking at this picture at portrait right now. I could actually turn this and draw my plan in this area, and I could have all the information about me and my company and the client over here. And a little trick of the trade, even drawing it like this. And I'm good at doing architectural lettering, but do I want to spend the time doing it? Absolutely not. I'm pretty quick at Microsoft Word. So I actually, on a piece of paper, I actually take and I print out everything that I need to go in my title block. Here is a project designing a landscape. Well, it can fit right there, but I actually print it to what we call a film sticky back. And I can cut this out, peel the sticky back, and I can put it anywhere in the title block. And I also have these pre-printed landscape contractor certified plant professional. And usually if I'm drawing an irrigation plan, I'm going to just stamp it. These are just logos I downloaded off the internet from the licensing board in the Nurseryman Association, and I actually put that on all of my drawings. And that will conclude on how to draw borders for any type of landscape design or any type of irrigation plan. Having this paper in my office, at home, this is something that you can do at your kitchen table, guys. As long as you have a flat, smooth surface, you can actually buy these mattings at like a drafting store or office supply store, roll it out, or you can. I've had students in my classes build their drafting table, smooth piece of plywood, sand it down a little bit, put this matting over it, and they've got a design table at home. And it's something they can take down. It's not a big, huge drafting table. They could actually, store that underneath the bed or whatever and use it when they need to. And by the time I can go to Office Depot or any of the paper stores and buy the pre-bordered paper, I can already have this done and been working on my on the plan that I'm having to turn in. So, I'm all about saving gas and money, and especially time with these days. So instead of going to the back and forth to the store, I draw my border, then I'm ready to go and start doing my landscape design or my irrigation plans. I appreciate that. This concludes on how to draw the borders for a landscape or irrigation plan, and I appreciate you for watching, and please look at video number 2.